Hello, my fellow jellyfish. Welcome back to my channel. We have floated into 2026 and I'm back. Today I'm showing you how to draw an Art Nouveau jellyfish. So it's only the drawing this time. But I will show you how to keep the subject floating and flowing and how to create those Art Nouveau borders. I'm drawing on cold pressed paper with a fine structure. If you like your paper to be smoother or more structured, be aware that the paint that I will show in a later video will behave differently. I actually made an earlier sketch which I really liked, but it was on different kind of paper, actually sketching paper, and it was not the right size. I actually wanted to copy it, but it wasn't the right size, so I'm going to redraw it in this video. I really thought it would be an opportunity to show you how I draw this. When I use a pencil, I usually grab whatever is closest, like it could be a 2D, could be an H, could be an HB. There is some difference with it. If you want darker lines, go with the B pencils because they are softer and they create more graphite on the paper. If you are afraid it will affect your painting too much, you go for a harder version, for an H pencil, but I don't really mind because I'm doing a lot of line work later. And if you cannot get your point sharp enough, I have that happen with the B pencils a lot. You can use a bit of sandpaper to get that extra sharpness, to get that extra point. I'm going to use a compass and later a circle template to make circles. They make it just a little bit more perfect, just like that look of more perfect circles. Be aware, if you use a compass, there will be a little hole in your paper. Also, if you want to play with the size, I think a compass is really great because you can adjust it to whatever size you want. People have asked me what kind of glove I'm wearing. It's actually just a drawing glove that you can get for cheap at many different stores. It just prevents your hand from smudging the paper, and it prevents your oils that your hands excrete from getting into the paper itself. It just needs to be like a thin piece of cloth. I remember my grandfather just using napkins to just cover his hand on the paper, although he sometimes forgot he had wiped his mouth before, so it wasn't the cleanest option. Look at where I want the paper to end, so I always get like 1 centimeter. Like if you look at these blocks underneath, this is 1 centimeter. So if you go here, take about the middle, means that the point is here. Oh, should keep it steady. There we go. Try to erase less as possible. Gonna do another one, but we're going to make this edge. I'm gonna make another edge. And this is why this is very handy. Another edge, there we go. That's 1, 2, 3. When I think of Art Nouveau, I think about flowers and animals and having those natural shapes and a lot of green, but I also think about borders. My favorite artist in this genre is Alphonse Mucha, or Mucha, whatever you want to call him, Mucha. And he did a lot of border work, whether it was for advertisement or his own pieces. Especially in the beginning, you see a lot of borders or having corners decorated with those border pieces. I use it a lot because it's easier to frame a subject and you can decide where to put the emphasis on, especially if you use a lot of circles. Everything that's in the circle will automatically be the focal point at that part, because that's how the human eye actually works. It's already going to look a little bit different from the reference picture. As you can see here, put the borders way more inside, but we're going to play with these. I'm drawing some embellishments. They are usually whiplash lines, so they swoosh around and they make those elegant curves that are very reminiscent of Art Nouveau. They are usually like an asymmetrical S kind of curve, so you can use those shapes in your work as well. And the jellyfish is basically a lot of swirls, but let's start with the head. And I'm not going to do it in the middle. A lot of things can be in the middle if you draw a human or an animal with like a small head, and the head is just the main focus. You can draw it in the middle. But a jellyfish is basically all head and just swirls. So it's more interesting to put it somewhere here. I'm gonna draw another circle. Let me just see how large. Let's go there. I don't want to cross too much. Now, the jellyfish is mostly like a big head with a lot of swirls around it, but many have a more like solid inside. When I was younger, I drew jellyfish with just the tentacles, but they have actually something else. Those ribbon-like things are the oral arms. They have stinging cells to get their food. So that's basically how they feed, with those ribbon-like appendages. And while looking at jellyfish anatomy, I found out that those circle shapes that are like in the head are their gonads, and I had to translate that because English is not my first language. So gonads are the primary organs of the reproductive cycle. I know now, and you might know that now as well. Hello fellow jellyfish, I want to take this time to thank you. This drawing is brought to life by you and the people on Ko-fi who actually bring this drawing to life. It is like buying a virtual coffee for me, but those coffees will add up and it can actually pay for more paper or paint, or actually pay for the time that I need to make these videos. If you're having a good time and you want to help bring more videos to life, every donation helps me to keep on creating. The link is in the description. I have talked about it in a previous video, in the calf's snout video, but another thing that borders can do is make the drawing more 3D, create more depth. For example, drawing one of the oral arms in front of the border and have those tentacles beside it disappear behind it will create the idea that there's depth, that there's a 3D dimension. It will basically fool your eyes, because if there's something in front and something behind it, this specific jellyfish that I have as reference has some nice shapes here at the bottom. There. And it has this pattern that it basically goes every time it moves up. It has this little dark mark. And on top, because you cannot really see where it's going, use or a reference, or just let your imagination go wild. You know where it's supposed to be, you can go a bit more. There we go. So the tentacles are the most fun part of this drawing, because you can go wild crazy with it. They can go anywhere, basically wherever you want the tentacle to go, just let it go there. And it can go loop, it can go be a straight line, it can do an 8-figure, it can be an entire roller coaster of things, as long as you really like how the line is looking. And you can go wild with tentacles, because the more they differ from each other, the more lifelike the painting will look. If the tentacles are all in a straight line, it looks very flat or lifeless. There's just typically one rule that I use in these kinds of drawings, and that is you need to have a certain shape and you need to have a certain flow to go with there. If you go completely wild, then it's unsure where the jellyfish is going to. So for example, this jellyfish is coming from the left and is going right, and those tentacles will follow that movement. So they start at the head of the jellyfish and go left, and they swoop right left. And of course, if you want to make it more Art Nouveau, you can use those Whiplash curves again in here. You can just do a lot of those asymmetrical S shapes within the tentacles. So with the new year of 2026, I wanted to get back on track. Last year started really rough for me, and I just needed to take a break from it all. Let's say I just really needed to focus on myself and stop actually pushing myself for making videos that I maybe didn't like. This year started a bit better for me, or at least for me, and I decided to make a plan for this whole year. I actually made a schedule. Where I plan to do 1, maybe 2 videos every month. But those 2 videos will be in the same theme or work towards the same kind of subject. So I have some interesting ideas in mind where I study more about a certain subject and get into the nitty-gritty on how to paint it with watercolors that I have. Here is the current schedule. Next month we are painting gold. Not gold paint, but we are simulating gold. So make sure there might be an occasional extra video if I can make them, but the schedule is the one that I'm following. Be aware of the negative space that you're using. So there's some overlap here. If you think there is something wrong, maybe flip the drawing, because it will show you where the weight is distributed in your drawing. For example, it's very busy here, not as busy here. It will change because I'm not done with this part. But for example, if this is everything in the painting or in your drawing, fill some in here to even it out, to balance it a bit more. I think this is maybe one more. Once you are sick of drawing tentacles or you think it looks full enough, put down your pencil and take a good look at it. Are you happy with how it looks? Are you sure there are enough tentacles? Is there not enough? Are there too many? Is there enough negative space in this drawing? Or you can be like me and just not even think about it. Just have a little break. And because it is an animal and jellyfish are very flowy, you can already see it's a bit different from my sketch. Just put them there. I put this one way more up top, made it smaller so there is more swirls. This one I put the head a bit bigger and I took a lot of emphasis on the less swirls that I had. So that's a difference, but it's not a bad difference. It also shows that a sketch can be the starting point. If you are perfectly happy with your sketch, you can trace it your own way or use that. But be aware that sometimes if you redraw it, you can get surprising results. For that kind of halo circle, I'm using my circle template to draw the smaller circles within the circles. But you can actually fill that space with whatever you want. Circles, squares, triangles, flowers, birds, phases of the moon. I've seen so many different things to fill a circle with. But just do whatever feels that fits. If there's something that you really want to draw in there but you think it does not fit the theme, maybe do that for another painting. I just went with circles, stripes and rounded triangles, and in the middle I decided I wanted to have a plant, and when I was sketching it I was unsure on what kind of plant I wanted in there. I decided it has to be a water plant, but I've already done water lilies before and it just didn't really felt like it was connecting with jellyfish. So I decided to go with seaweed, which kind of looks like those oral arms that a jellyfish has. It's just becoming a different color in the future. And as with every drawing that I make, I'm going to make some. It's not going to read that. I just want to have it slightly sharpened. There we go. I'm going to get some little bubbles here as well. I'm going to use those from my hand. Just add them where I wanted to. So that was the drawing bit. Next video we are going to paint it with my watercolors. Thank you so much for watching. You can get this particular digital print on my Ko-fi page for free. Go there, link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you really like this video, please subscribe. It really helps my channel. See you next video. Goodbye.
Let us follow the starlight and float into the next day. Let's end this now in the night and find our own special way. Goodbye, my dear. See you next time till we meet again.